Hello student, I am Dr. Hari Prapan Sharma, Assistant Professor GLA University Mathura. Today we have discussed factor affecting dividend policy. In a dividend policy, before discussing factor affecting dividend policy, we find out some answers of the following questions. First one is, what are the firm's financial needs given its growth, plans and investment opportunities? Who are the firm's shareholders and what are their preferences with regard to dividend payments? What are the firm's constraints, financial and legal, in paying dividends? It is not easy to answer these questions. A number of factors will have to be evaluated to analyze each of these questions. Broadly speaking, to develop a long-term dividend policy, the directors of a company should aim at bringing a balance between the desires of shareholders and the needs of the company. The factors that generally influence the dividend policy of the firms are these are: first one is firms' investment opportunities and financial needs. Firms should tailor their dividend policies to their long-term investment opportunities to have maximum financial flexibility and avoid financial frictions and cost of raising external funds. If we discuss age in this further criteria, we discuss age of operation. The age of the company also influence the dividend decision of a company. A newly established concern has to limit payment of dividend and retain substantial part of funding for the financing its future growth and development, while other companies which have established sufficient reserve can afford to pay liberal dividend. Next one is business cycle. In a business cycle, if firm have a maturity, then that have fewer investment opportunities may generally have high payout ratio. Shareholders of these companies would be more interested in dividends as they obtain higher return on their investment outside the company. If firm having a growth condition in a growing, then they may have low payout ratio. They are continuously in need of funds to finance their fast growing fixed assets. Next one is future needs. It is not only the desire of the shareholders but also future financial requirements of the company that have to be taken into consideration while making a dividend decision. The management of a concern has to reconcile the conflicting interests of shareholders and those of the company's financial needs. If a company has highly profitable investment opportunities, it can convince the shareholders of the need for limitation of dividend to increase the future earnings and stabilize its financial position. But when profitable investment opportunities do not exist, then the company may not be justified in the retaining substantial part of its current earnings. Thus, a concern having few internal investment opportunities should follow high payout ratio as compared to one having more profitable investment opportunities. Second one is shareholders' expectations. Shareholders are the legal owners of the company and directors appointed by them are their agents. Therefore, directors should give due importance to the expectations of shareholders in the matter of dividend decision. Shareholders preference for dividend or capital gains may depend on their economic status and the effect of tax difference on different dividend and capital gains. In most countries, dividend income is taxed at the rate higher than the capital gains. A wealthy shareholder in a high income tax bracket may be interested in capital gains than current dividends. On the other hand, a retired person with small means whose main source of income is dividend would like to get regular dividend and may not be interested in capital gains. The ownership concentration in a firm may define the shareholders' expectations. In case of closely held company, the body of the shareholders is small and homogeneous and management usually knows the expectations of shareholders. Therefore, they can easily adopt a dividend policy which satisfies most shareholders. If most of the shareholders are in high tax brackets and have a preference for capital gains to current dividend incomes, the company can establish a dividend policy of paying sufficient dividends and retaining the earnings within the company subject to its growth opportunities. It is a formidable task to ascertain the preference of shareholders in a widely held company. The number of shareholders is very large. They are dispersed and they may have diverse desires regarding dividends and capital gains. Hence, it is not possible in case of widely held company to follow a dividend policy which equally satisfies all shareholders. The firm may follow a dividend policy which serves the purpose of the dominating group but does not completely neglect the desires of others. Shareholders of a widely held company may be divided these four categories: small shareholders, retired and old persons, wealthy investors, and institutional shareholders. Now we discuss one by one their expectation. If we talk about the small shareholders, they are not the frequent purchaser of the shares. They hold a small number of shares in a few companies with the purpose of receiving dividend income or sometimes making capital gains. They may not have a definite investment policy. They purchase shares only when their savings permit. Retired and old person generally invest in shares to get a regular income. They use their savings or provident or pension fund to purchase shares. These persons may therefore select shares of the companies that have a history of paying regular and liberal dividends. However, a retired person who has some source of income and is in a high tax bracket may be interested in capital gain as well. Next one is wealthy investors. They are very much concerned with the dividend policy followed by a company. They have a definitely investment policy of increasing their wealth and minimize taxes. These persons are in high tax brackets and the dividends received in cash by them would be taxed at a high rate. Therefore, they generally prefer a dividend policy of retaining earnings and distributing bonus shares. The wealthy shareholders group is quite dominating in many companies as they hold relatively large blocks of shares and are able to influence the composition of the board of directors by the significant voting rights. On the dividend policies of these companies, this group will have a considerable influence. Next one is institutional investors. They purchase large block of shares to hold them to relatively long periods of time. Institutional investors, unlike wealthy shareholders, are not concerned with personal income taxes but with profitable investments. Most, instru- Most institutional investors avoid speculative issues, seek diversification in their investment portfolio, and favor a policy of regular cash dividend payments. Now, next one is constraint on paying dividends. Most companies recognize that the shareholders have some desire to receive dividends, although shareholders are also interested in the capital gain. How much dividend should a company pay? The company decisions regarding the amount of earnings to be distributed as dividend depend on a legal and financial constraint also. So firstly we discuss legal restrictions. The dividend policy of the firm has to evolve within a legal framework and restrictions. The directors are not legally compelled to declare dividend. For example, the Indian Companies Act provides that dividends shall be declared or paid only out of the current profit or past profit after providing for depreciation. However, the central government is empowered to allow any company to pay dividend for any financial year out of the profits of the company without providing for depreciation. The central government shall give such relief only when it is in the public interest. The dividend should be paid in cash, but a company is not prohibited to capitalize profits or reserves for the purpose of issuing fully paid bonus shares. It has been held in some legal cases that capital profits should not be distributed as dividend unless the distribution is permitted by the company's article of association and the profits have been actually released. Second one is liquidity. The payment of dividend means cash outflow. Although a firm may have adequate earning to declare dividend, it may not have sufficient cash to pay dividends. Thus, the cash position of the firm of the company is an important consideration in paying dividends. The greater the cash position and overall liquidity of a company, the greater will be its ability to pay dividends. A mature company is generally liquid and is able to pay large amount of dividends. It does not have much investment opportunities. Much of its funds are not tied up in a permanent working capital and therefore it has a sound cash position. On the other hand, growing firms face the problem of liquidity. Even though they make good profit, they continuously need funds for financing growing fixed assets and working capital. Because of the insufficient cash or pressures on liquidity, in case of growth firms, management may follow a conservative dividend policy also. Next one, we discuss financial condition and borrowing capacity. The financial condition or capability of a firm depends on its use of borrowings and interest charge payable. A high degree of financial leverage makes a company quite vulnerable to changes in earnings, and also it becomes quite difficult to raise funds externally for financing its growth. A high levered firm is therefore expected to retain more to strengthen its equity base. However, a company with steady growing earnings and cash flows and without much investment opportunities may follow a high dividend payment policy in spite of high amount of debt in its capital structure. Next is access to the capital market. A company that is not sufficiently liquid can still pay dividends if it is able to raise debt or equity In the capital markets, it is well established and has a record of profitability. It will not find much difficulty in raising funds in the capital markets. Easy accessibility to the capital markets provides flexibility to the management in paying dividends as well as in meeting the corporate obligations. A fast growing firm which has a tight liquidity position will not face any difficulty in paying dividends if it has access to the capital markets. A company that does not have sound cash position and it is also unable to raise funds will not be able to pay dividends. Thus, the greater the ability of the firm to raise funds in the capital markets, greater will be its ability to pay dividends even if it is not liquid. Next one is control. The objective of maintaining control over the company by the existing management group or the body of shareholders can be an important variable in influencing the company's dividend policy. When a company pays large dividend, its cash position is affected. As a result, the company will have to issue new shares to raise funds to finance its investment programs. The control of the existing shareholders will be diluted if they do not want or cannot buy additional shares. Under these circumstances, the payment of dividends may be withheld and earnings may be retained to finance the firm's investment opportunities. Thank you, students. If you have any query regarding these factor affecting dividend policies, then you will discuss in a class. Thank you once again.